Monique Morrow to the
Directora del Humanize
Internet, and Jaime Steve. He is the founder and CEO.
Monique Morrow es cofundadora y presidenta de Humanize Internet, el Internet humanizado, un nombre que me fascina y ahora sabremos por qué. Una organización y un proyecto precioso. Es una organización defensora de los derechos de las personas y la tecnología como herramienta para las personas, frente a las personas. Monique es reconocida internacionalmente como una de las mujeres más influyentes en tecnología y trabaja para que nuestra identidad y nuestros derechos estén protegidos en el mundo digital. Antes, vamos a ver un vídeo de presentación de Monique.
We are going to watch a video of introduction.
Monique Morrow, cofundadora de The Humanized Internet, organización defensora de la tecnología como herramienta para las personas. Monique trabaja para que nuestra identidad y nuestros derechos estén protegidos también en el mundo digital. Con más de 25 años de experiencia y reconocida internacionalmente como una de las mujeres más influyentes en tecnología, aborda una visión clara. La innovación debe garantizar privacidad, seguridad y dignidad. Su mensaje es sencillo. La tecnología solo tiene sentido cuando empodera a la ciudadanía, no cuando la controla.
Good morning to everybody, physical attendance and digital attendance. It's an honor for me to share this beginning of the life with Monique Morrow. The father of Monique was born in America, the mother was born in France. She was born in North Carolina, but now she lives in Switzerland. She has relatives in a lot of countries, but overall she is a citizen of the world. Welcome, Monique.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. And it's very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Monique understands Spanish.
Be careful what you say. Hablo español, pero desgraciadamente
I used to speak Spanish, but unfortunately I forgot my Spanish. I can still understand some, but just a little bit.
Worked the last 25 years in ethical technologies. He's actually the president. She was the co-founder and she's the president of the Humanized Internet, a non-profit focused on digital rights, on identity, on democracy. And I would like to know a bit more of Humanized Internet, please.
Sure. The Humanized Internet is a space non-profit. It should be said that I'm also a citizen. And basically the focus is on looking at how all of these technologies, when they come together, we can't forget the human in the loop. We always talk about, now you see human-centered technology, human-centered whatever, but human, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect, because here we have a book, The Humanized Internet. Thank you. Dignity, digital identity, and democracy. Democracy is also part of the discussion, but digital identity. So there are people, there's the other aspect of what happens when you don't have this idea or this concept of being able to have an identity. When I say an identity, you do have it. It's cultural. So you are. My name is Monique. Your name is Jaime. It's cultural, but it's also what allows you to have access to certain capabilities like education, like health, like all of that. What happens when you don't have the papers? What happens? What happens when you don't, things, what we have to think about is in our world, we have people who don't have such access. And they live here. And if you don't have access, you become victims of human trafficking. And I always ask the question, I can ask you the question, if there were a fire, if there were an earthquake, what would you take with you? What would you take with you? And that's always the question to ponder.
That's a good point, because many times philosophers, thinkers ask themselves about the nature of the identity but you work in a material sense, because identity also means a password, an ID card, a certified system. When you don't have papers, documents, material evidence of your identity, you are very vulnerable. So you found a way to help in this way with blockchain, with the cloud. So could you tell us about it?
Sure, honey. I like to understand what I don't know. So I went off and got a degree in blockchain and digital currency when nobody was really doing that. Now, I did this at the University of Lucia. I went and they graduated in 2019, getting a beautiful degree. It's the credentialing university, but they also put that degree in blockchain. Why? What happens when the credentialing proof disappears? At least it's there forever. And would you hire me if I were to prove that I did this education? So that's one aspect of it. My co-author here was a Syrian refugee. He was, he is the story, actually. He is the person, you know, when Angela Merkel opened her borders, was able to go in. And the good news is, it's a, well, fast forward, but he became a German citizen, he's married, and he's going to be a father of a daughter like now. Right now, like October. So, and he's grateful, but he said, you know, you could fake the papers, but something so digital with an apostille was very hard to do. So that's the other aspect that I think is interesting. And by the way, just one aspect, I have to add this. I love the hotel I'm staying in. You know what's interesting? I don't have a Bible, but I have the Declaración Universal de Derechos Humanos in my hotel. Wow. Congratulations.
Preserve the dignity beyond the papers,
Yeah.
beyond the borders. In which way the people in Gaza at this moment could be helped by these technologies?
Well, you know, this is I mean, the thing of it is that when we look at identity, it's very, you have things that are identity, you have the aspects that are there that are technically people are addressing it. But I think what we think about is a moonshot. You know, when President Kennedy said that we will put people on the moon, it was at a time when rockets were crashing. And I believe strongly that the moonshot is, what if, here's the moonshot for the entrepreneurs in the room, what if we could have a digital lockbox that has digitally my will and testament, my marriage certificate, my degrees, and an apostille seal that is also digital, and that I have also the next of kin who I leave, maybe to you, and it's there. You know when you go and have a bank account and you go to the bank and you have a vault, you put all of your things there. I don't know if you've seen the papers you sign, but basically it says, in case of a fire or a flood, we're not responsible. So I think we could do that. And people and computer scientists say it's a very hard problem. If it were easy, we would have done it already. So that's the moonshot I challenge folks with. And that means that it's with you all the time, whether you're talking about control or whether you're talking about empowerment. This time it's yours, right? And I think that's the opportunity that we could have.
I would like to talk a bit more about decentralization. Many people say it's blockchain, but probably not everybody knows what blockchain means. I asked you about what blockchain means, why decentralization is important.
So now we're going into technical. So how many people know about blockchain in the audience? So quite a few people do know about a third. So the thing about it is that when I was looking at this idea, when I was looking at blockchain, what's happening is that you have corporate and organizations getting involved. And so with blockchain, with a chain, right, the whole idea, when it was Bitcoin, you're solving a puzzle. Boom, boom, solving a puzzle. That was the origin of blockchain. Puzzle solving, and you would get a Bitcoin or whatever. That's kind of the thing. So blockchain has become now this whole idea of it's not controlled, it's semi-controlled, depends on where, that it's decentralized in the sense that nobody really owns that, okay? You have now organizations getting involved, universities getting involved, looking at how they deal with cryptography, how they deal with security, etc. And the thing of it is who's solving the puzzles? How do you deal with smart contract? A contract, a contract, so now it's smart, it's code. But the problem with code is garbage in, garbage out. And so I was talking with, I don't know, Dante is in the room. I think Dante. One of the, there. So I was talking with a few people yesterday. There are areas that you can solve for, that people understand it, right? So I can write this code, and it's very easy, and so on and so forth. So what happens with blockchain is it's no longer centralized. That means now with banking, I make it sense for you in the banking organizations, because banks are getting involved. They're starting to use blockchain. They're starting to trade in crypto. And it's because they can see something that could bring, what's the opportunity and the friction that they're solving for. They want real time. I mean, if I'm a customer, I want real time. I don't want to wait 90 days. I want real time. And that's what they want to solve and offer that service to their customers. So I think it's very interesting when I sit with my banker and she says, oh, you have a Revolut wallet, or you have all of this wallet, or whatever. And now they're starting to speak in this sense. Let me also say one thing. The generation of today is already in this space, ladies and gentlemen. They're already in this space. In the United States, most people operate in crypto. They do. So now it's more looking at how you can use this technology to benefit for yourself. And if I take it to the book, one of the people one of the refugees, had no access to a bank account. He's actually the story. He actually graduated from the same university I did. And how was he getting he lived in the Netherlands. How was he getting his income? Bitcoin. That's how he was doing it. So you see, there's disintermediation happening in finance. There's this intermediation happening in the way we think of how we use these technologies, which I think is a great opportunity.
Let's talk now about the threats, the digital threats.
Yep.
Some years ago, Varoufakis named the concept techno-feudalism.
Yep.
It means that governments are gathering data, companies are gathering data, our data is of their own. How do you see this situation? What's techno-feudalism for you?
Well, there's a new book out by Alex Karp, who is in Palantir. If you know Palantir, his book is about, he says, we work with the government, and we work on threats, and we work on warfare. It's recently published. That's what he says. Now, techno-feudalism, the problem is we operate in a filter bubble, so we have to look at how these technologies can be used or misused. Now, misused by whom? And how? So you have these big companies, and by the way, I worked at one of them, and by the way, I work with them. But you have these big companies that all of a sudden were saying, do no evil, do no harm, or whatever, and then all of a sudden we're saying, no, we're probably thinking about monetizing all of this work. And the problem is now they are conglomerating a lot of this finances of their companies, the revenues, into a very few. And if we're all using their apps, or if we're all using their products, it's not for free. You are the product, as the old adage goes. You are the product. It's not free. And so what happens is people, I've talked with people at Google, and they say, well, we're not actually, like Gemini, whoever uses ChatGPT and all of that, we're not actually taking all of, we're not looking at all of your background and et cetera, and we're not, the thing of it is that we're just interested in this one aspect, but is that true, right? So we're not really mining you, but is that true? Do you believe it? The thing of it is that we have to be able, from wonderful agoras as this one, to question, and to be able to question. And so it's really accommodated, and so people, the thing of it is, I've met some colleagues here who are dealing with ethics, which is also contextual. Do no harm means do no harm. That's the Hippocratic Oath. It's what physicians operate from. So if I say, this technology, Jaime, was created for one purpose, and you go over that, that's a red flag. And if ethics is so important in companies, how come they're not reporting to the CEOs? They're not. Right? So that's the other aspect of it. And so there is a technological, I'm not saying, I think what we have to do, so let me bring it to what we should be thinking about, be aware of the technology, be aware of it. You don't have to be really deep into it, be aware. Be aware of the geopolitical, the macroeconomics, and be aware of how it affects you. I think that's the most important thing. And question when you're actually looking at these technologies.
So would you say that AI is the most important threat that the humanity has faced?
So AI is a big one because I actually am in that world. Right now, AI, by the way, I was talking to a researcher, and she said, AI is a term that's been used for over 80 years, okay, 80 years. But you get into machine learning, you get into other aspects. What I'm very concerned about, because I'm working with some people in this space, deep fakes in audio, deep fakes in video. And I just looked at a startup in Switzerland. They're already working on deep fakes in audio. Your voice is no longer your voice. Can you imagine that you have a CEO of a company, or maybe it's Angel's voice is no longer his voice. Angel sends out a message, and it sounds like him, and it's not him. And in fact, I like to bring a personal experience. What happened in Switzerland about 5 or 6 months ago, I got a message and said, I'm from the federal police. Had I said anything, it would have been dangerous. We're here, we have a warrant for your arrest. Do you know about a couple 100,000 Swiss citizens fell into that trap? That's how intrusive this technology can be, targeted against you. So we have to be very, very aware. Of course, the federal police said we would never issue a warrant over the telephone. They'd be at your door.
You are really always on, Monique. Here is a lot of persons who would like to ask you, so I invite them to make so many questions as you want. Probably we won't have enough time, but later we have the coffee, and here is Jan Hinrichs, who
yes, Jan.
Will make the first
Go
question.
for it. We're at the tip of an iceberg here, what is the art of the possible in discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Monique, thanks a lot for presenting. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about quantum computing? And because it's supposedly the biggest threat for Bitcoin and crypto as well.
I'm in that space, by the way, because I'm in the telecommunications space. I work with companies like Swisscom and all. Also, there were companies here in Spain looking at quantum X and quantum Y. The thing of it is that you have infrastructure in quantum. That's important. People are looking at it from a security perspective. All right? Number one, security. Number two is the bigger question is what happens, are we going to have a quantum internet? And people say, well, that's like years away. I would argue it's closer than you think. So quantum technology and AI are part of country strategies. So if you look at most countries, they say these are our strategies, right? And so I've worked with IBM. They've done some work in quantum, et cetera. By the way, I encourage you to learn a little bit about what's happening in the quantum space. But to your point about big data centers and et cetera, I think that there's an aspect of that people are looking at, in Switzerland we have quantum computing now. We have them in the south, and people are looking at how they can actually think about monetizing it more and more. But they're actually looking at that. You have faster and bigger machines in China. That's a country strategy. Full stop. You can read the 5-year plan in English. They are telling you what they're going to do. So what is your 5-year plan here? This is the thing to think about, is that this space, so I'm in that emerging technology, but here's the most important thing to be concerned about. And I've talked to you privately about this. Part of machine learning, part of the aspect is what we call sentiment analysis. So in sentiment analysis, which is going on more and more, and police agencies are looking at this. This is very important to know, because you have a polarity. The polarity is safety for him. So you go here, there's nobody blowing up a bomb, but also making sure that it's not abused. So sentiment analysis can go so deep to say, or suggest, he is a potential terrorist. He just doesn't know it yet.
Any other question, please? One there, one there. Ask, please.
Hi, Monique. Thank you very much for being here. I wonder if you could build a little bit on the digital lockbox. You mentioned that. I think you mentioned also just in the session that we had yesterday.
Yes.
I wonder what could be the uses, and also who could be responsible for build this?
So the digital lockbox is a concept. So thank you for asking that question, because you were in the session yesterday. This is the moonshot. We need to think about that. Can it be done? Computer scientists say it's kind of difficult, but I think we need to think about that in another way. I know, having talked to a few entrepreneurs at this session, they're very keen. Some of my entrepreneurs in the room are very keen in looking at that, and why not? Nothing's going to stop you, but you have to start maybe small. Maybe you start here in Malaga. Maybe you think about that. You have the moonshot, but maybe you think about that. And by the way, you have to bring everybody along the journey. You can test it. You can pilot it. Why not? Try it. And somebody's going to say it can't be done. But think about the moonshot when people were thinking about going to the moon, now Mars and whatever. Nobody thought it could be done. So it can be if we think really, really strategically about it. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks a lot. One more question here in the center, please.
Hello. I wanted to ask, it's a bit naive question, but why would you use blockchain when you can normally just use PGP digital signatures? I can't wrap my head around the idea, so that's what I wanted to ask.
No, it's a fair question to ask. I mean, some people were asking, why do we have to use blockchain? So the whole idea of blockchain is, I have a whole kind of a flow, right? You can use an Excel sheet if you wanted to, but if you're looking at different organizations, maybe that's something that people will think about, consider it as an opportunity. B2B, the thing about signatures is that those are signatures, and some people are using that. I mean, by the way, they go together. They're not separate. They don't have to be separate. So they're rather complementary, in my opinion. So, thank you. I'm in that world, by the way, internet world. So, okay.
The last question, maybe. No more question from you. There? No? No more question at this time. I have two wishes, Monique. The first wish is to share with the audience the short video that explains about humanized internet, and the second wish I dare to ask you is that I would like to buy your book, because I want to read it. I'm a good reader.
So this is what I'm going to do for Jaime. I'm going to autograph this book. It's for him.
Oh, thank you, Monique.
Okay. Muchas gracias. So we do this today.
Who are you? The oldest human question still has no easy answer. How can you prove your identity? Passports, bank statements, social media profiles. Our identities are digital. Our identities are vulnerable. Our identities are out there. Today, 1 billion people worldwide have no identification. People from war zones, disasters, repressive regimes. They can't get education, can't use banks, can't work. They can't defend their human rights. No identity means no freedom. They're trapped. But now, new technologies can help us. Artificial intelligence and blockchain can be used to store our data in a secure, decentralized database that each person can access with a private key. A humanized internet will help all humanity protect our rights, letting us take control, opening new, unimaginable possibilities. The humanized internet is working to guarantee every human's digital sovereignty. Are you with us?
By the way, the lady who's the voiceover, she was a refugee. So.
Amazing video, amazing woman, amazing story. Congratulations, Monique.
Thank you.
Thank you to all.
Thank you.